Hello, welcome to today's video. Today I'd like to share with you all of the books I read in March. I read 9 books this month, which is really good for me. All but one of them were rereads, so it is what it is. I am currently about halfway through a very big reread, so let's talk about it. First up, I read the Mortal Instruments series minus City of Bones. I read that last month. The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare is one of those YA series that I feel like either you've read or you never intend to read. It's one of those things that had its time, had its popularity, it is what it is. I am currently rereading all of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, which is why this reread happened, and I definitely have fairly strong feelings about a lot of these books. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I do not think the series needed to be 6 books long. I'm not going to get into my opinions on each individual book in this video because I am making a video about this reread, but I will touch on a few little things. Thing number 1. City of Glass and City of Heavenly Fire are easily the best books of this series. When you compare the writing of City of Heavenly Fire to City of Bones, it's like you're reading 2 complete different series. I think that this was like an impressive series for the time. It was definitely like a product of its time. I think if you compare it to a lot of YA fantasy series that are coming out now, it doesn't really hold up. I have a lot of opinions on the romance in this book. To touch on that very briefly, I think that the siblings plotline only happened because there was no other thing in the relationship. There was no reason they couldn't be together, there was nothing stopping them, and they were siblings to create conflict, if you know what I mean. My favourite of all of them is City of Heavenly Fire. I remember waiting for this book to come out and finally getting my hands on it and reading it in 2 days when I was 13 or 14. Rereading it now, I have a whole new appreciation for this book because it is where we meet the characters from the Dark Artificers, which is my favourite of the Shadowhunter series. Seeing the baby blackthorns is really something. But yes, I read the Mortal Instruments for whatever reason. If you enjoyed it when you were younger and are thinking of rereading it, I do recommend going into it with the knowledge that it was written in a different time and it doesn't hold up to more current series, but if there's the nostalgia for you, you'll probably enjoy it. The next book I read was a 5-star read. I cannot believe I read it a month ago. It feels like it was so long ago. I feel like this is a book that I've just always known. It immediately became one of those just incredible books that I want to recommend to everybody and I just want to talk about forever, and that is This Is How You Lose a Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal El-Mokhtar. This book is one of the best books I've ever read. It's a sci-fi and I never read sci-fi. What I loved about it wasn't the sci-fi elements, it was the romance that existed between the basically only 2 characters in this book. This book follows Red and Blue, 2 time agents who jump back and forth through time and through different timelines, leaving each other letters secretly because they're not meant to know each other, and a beautiful relationship that kind of forms between them. This book is written so beautifully. The whole thing just feels like poetry. As soon as I finished reading this book, I wanted to start it again. It is one of those books that I just want to sit with. I want to think about it, I want to talk about it. I do think I'm going to reread it very soon, just because I really want to go through and kind of mark a few different quotes. As I was reading it, I was aware that I wanted to tab different pages and I didn't have any of my stuff on me, so I have one single part tabbed, and yeah, it's just this beautiful line. It's not a spoiler this, but I veer rhapsodic, my prose purples, and yet I don't think you'll laugh, or if you do, the laughter would delight me. It's just beautiful. Basically, each chapter begins with either Red or Blue finding their next letter, and then you have the letter. It's about an even spread of narrative and letter. It's just really beautiful. For years I heard people talking about this book and wanted to read it, and I'm so glad that I finally have. This Is How You Lose the Time War is a 5 out of 5 star read for me. Please read it. I read 3 more books this month, but they were also rereads for my big Shadowhunter reread, and it was The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. I only own the physical copy of Clockwork Angel, and it's this special edition one. I can't believe I just never bought the physical copies of The Infernal Devices. Reading The Infernal Devices after The Mortal Instruments was just very almost jarring because the characters are all so much more likable. I think Tessa as a main character is more interesting. I think the love interests are far more compelling, and the story itself is just fun and interesting, and the side characters are all so good. Everyone talks about kind of how heartbreaking the epilogue of Clockwork Princess is. I think the heartbreak comes far before the epilogue. I was listening to the audiobooks, and there were a few days where I put them on while I was still in bed in the morning, and then I was multiple days in a row crying in bed first thing in the morning. It was great. I think this book shifted something in the like reader community. The idea of like book boyfriends, like Will and Jem are on every list, and they have been for so long. These books are great. I had a great time rereading these. I can't remember the last time I reread them. I have read them a few times, but this time was just a really great read. I really like a lot of the side characters, especially after reading the Last Hours series. I just appreciate them a lot more. Seeing these people as parents is very interesting and honestly made me love them that much more. But yes, The Infernal Devices is great. I will talk in much more depth about that in the Shadowhunter video that will come at some point in the future. But yes, those are books that I read in March. There isn't much for me to say about them because they were basically all rereads. There were no like shocking revelations or anything like that. This Is How You Lose the Time War though. Incredible book. I know I've said this like 1,000 times already, but seriously, go read it. I highly recommend it. It was incredible. It actually, this is silly, it made me want to rearrange my bookshelves so I could have a section for 5-star reads, just a spot for all of my favorite books. But I haven't done that yet, and I don't know if I will because, to be honest, I don't have that many 5-star reads. I used to be a lot more giving with 5 stars, but now even if I like enjoy a book, it's a 4-star. But this one was a 5. Like the writing, the story, the characters, everything worked together and really well, and just it was very good. But with that said, that is all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up, you can subscribe. I upload every week, and I will see you next time. Bye.